Welcome in. It's a Clippers Talk Live. I'm Adam Osland. I shouldn't even say the live part anymore. They're all live now. When was the last time I did a standalone? Didn't even do that with Brian Seaman. I had him on live. You guys asked questions. Got him going, talking about Paul George and his return. If you want to check out that episode or some other previous episodes, they're all in the live section here on the YouTube side. I'm Adam Osland. You can check out yesterday's. I talked about Mo Bamba. Sounds like he'll be returning. Could be playing tonight for the Clippers. They're taking on the Utah Jazz. Evil Bot says hello. First in here. 3 dozen's going to be upset. I didn't even realize he's got the bold Brian Seaman photo in here too. I have a triggering, rage-baiting background photo right now of Brandon Boston and Moussa Diabate. More on that in a little bit, but this will be a Utah Jazz preview show. Clippers on the front end of a back-to-back tonight. Taking on the Utah Jazz tonight. Tomorrow against the Golden State Warriors. Warriors. Too easy. So, first of all, I want to address something. The revisionist history about Brandon Boston and Moussa Diabate is laughable to me. The amount of people who all of a sudden are coming out and acting like they were huge Brandon Boston Jr., Moussa Diabate fans, and they never should have, and they think the Clippers never should have gotten rid of these guys is laughable to me. I see this guy under my video last night that's titled Mo Bamba is back plus a big zoo rant. At Pro 100 said, still should have kept Brandon Boston Jr. and Moussa for at least one more season. It would have been really cheap to re-sign them, especially with PG walking, Russ traded, Plumlee and Tice gone, Kawhi forever injured, and no picks that we control. I never heard one person, not a one, this summer ever say anything about how they should have kept Brandon Boston and Moussa Diabate. Either of these guys. Either. In fact, the only person that even brought this up that I'm aware of, because I was going on a rant about Jordan Miller, was me. Saying this about Brandon Boston on Clips and Dip. And this is not so much, evidence as to me saying they should have kept him. It's more about we have to play Jordan Miller here. We're not playing young guys before this year. There is a legitimate excuse for that. Yes. And granted, they still gave Kobe Brown that 10-game run last season, and that was awesome to see. But we haven't been able to develop young guys and find out what they can do. If Brandon Boston turned out to be something this season, would anyone here be that shocked? Like totally shocked? No,
totally shocked.
It would probably be, oh, well, yeah, he never got, real time with the Clippers. He got a few minutes here and there. That's what we would all say.
The reasoning would make sense, yeah.
That can't happen anymore. Not on a team that doesn't. Just look at the reaction from Chuck and Will. That's pretty much everybody when talking about Brandon Boston and Moussa Diabate. I didn't hear anyone sad that they left or said that they were going to go on to do great things. I at least pointed out that it's a possibility now. I'm not shocked what Brandon Boston is doing. I can't believe how many people are doing the Wolverine gif with the picture of Jean Grey, but instead of that, it's Brandon Boston now. Because he's having some good games for a bad team in New Orleans that has lost, oh my goodness, 7 of 8. And they're completely injured and banged up. And he's had a 26-point game, a 20-point game, both in losses, 19-point game. Look, I'm rooting for him. I'm not surprised. I was a big fan of Brandon Boston. But I understood also why he wasn't playing at all. And when he did get time, he didn't look great. He's, I think, somebody that projects as like a Jordan Clarkson type in this league. That could be a good 6-man off the bench. that could be instant offense for you. That's what I've always said about him. Struggles to defend, sleight of frame, but can do it yourself, DIY, and get a bucket. I just find it laughable that all these people are acting like all of a sudden, oh, we shouldn't have got rid of him. Where were you this summer? You know, he wasn't even on New Orleans to start. He was in San Antonio. They let him go. They're the ones that should probably be regretting it more because they have a young team and could be playing more young guys. The Clippers weren't in a position over the last 3 years to be playing Brandon Boston much. And when they did, again, he underwhelmed. What is this? All of a sudden, all these Brandon Boston truthers and Moussa Diabate truthers are saying, like, I knew it all along. Clippers never should have gotten rid of him. I didn't hear anyone all summer say that, especially about Moussa, who had gotten limited time with the Clippers. You know what his best game was with the Clippers? His first game. And it was downhill from there. It wasn't awful, but was obviously somebody that wasn't going to be able to fill the backup center role for the Clippers. They gave him opportunities too. In fact, before they brought in Daniel Tice, he had a big opportunity last season and didn't perform at a high enough level, got hurt, unfortunately. We knew he had a motor, but was he a good enough athlete? So now he's having a 12-14 game, a 12-15 game in Charlotte for a bad team, but he's helping them. He's had some good games recently. He's had a 4-11 game, a 0-15 game, a game where he got 15 boards but 0 points in 29 minutes in a win over Indiana for Charlotte Hornets. The revisionist history. Come on, guys. And again, they're on teams that can afford to give them minutes and let them develop now. Could the Clippers have done some of that this season? Yes. But all I heard was how excited everybody was for Kai Jones and how much better he's going to be than Moussa Diabate. In fact, I heard some Clippers fans say that he's going to start over Ivica Zubac. Come on. So I'm sorry I put the picture as my background. I'm not trying to tease anyone or get anyone irate that they lost 2 players that are currently contributing to, again, bad teams and are in there because, especially Brandon Boston, because of all the injuries going on with the New Orleans Pelicans. And I'm happy for both of them. Both good guys. I hope they go on to have long, successful careers. You really can't make a case that the Clippers made some big mistake this summer unless you want to do some Monday morning quarterbacking or armchair GMing all of a sudden, even though nobody said when these guys were let go that they were going to miss them or they were going to prove the Clippers wrong. Brandon Boston Island, it's been vacant, uninhabited for a while now. He's only 22. I did make the comment, I just played the video, that would anyone be shocked if Brandon Boston turned out to be something? Yeah, I'm not surprised by this. But the Clippers gave some opportunities, and also they were just in a tough situation where it was a franchise that was in a win now mode, and so you're not going to play young guys. So maybe we can move on from this and talk about tonight's ball game against the Utah Jazz. I'm here to tell you, I said it, I think on Thursday on the last Clips and Dip episode, that Utah is not as bad as their record. And since then, they took down the Dallas Mavericks at home, and they almost beat the Sacramento Kings last night, who had to get, 49 from De'Aaron Fox. What does he have, 109 points his last 2 games? in back-to-back days. The Utah Jazz are dangerous. Even without Walker Kessler, who it looks like will remain out. He's not ruled out of this game. He has a hip injury. But they've been playing better. They're 2-2 their last 4. They're 3-3 their last 6. And after starting off the year going 0-6, I just figured they'd turn things around a little bit here. They're too talented. Yes, the Utah Jazz are too talented to start off the season 0-6. They have Markkanen. They have Colin Sexton. They have Jordan Clarkson. They have John Collins, who, if he has a big game tonight, God help me. I know everybody's going to be in here saying trade for John Collins. Somebody said in the chat, this was funny to me also. Not in the chat, but in the comment section of the last video here I did yesterday on Mo Bamba. Somebody said in there, I don't get some of these comments sometimes. I mean, I love it. It's hilarious to me. But Birds for Life All Day 5916 said in the comment section, I don't think the Jazz would do this, but how about we package Terrence Mann, Bones Highland, and PJ Tucker for John Collins? He said John Collins. We solve power forward issues. Collins adds size, I think, physical, athleticism, and three-point shooting. So he starts off with, I don't think the Jazz would do this, but how about we package Terrence Mann, Bones Highland, and PJ Tucker? So you just answered your own question. They wouldn't do that. Does it feel like a must-win tonight against the Utah Jazz? I don't know. These are games you have to win against inferior teams, but I think the Jazz are much better than people realize. For instance, if I take out their first 6 games, I want to see where they rank their last 6 games since they're 3-3, offensive rating-wise, defensive rating-wise. Utah's 8th offensively over their last 6 games where they're 3-3. That's a little bit scary. Defensively, they're still 30th. The pace they play with, let's see how they match up with the Clippers there. They're 18th. So it's not exactly contrasting styles. I wonder, though, what they're shooting from the outside over the last 6 games, too. Have they gotten hotter from 3? And that's why their offense has been better. Yes, they have. They're shooting 40% from 3 their last 6 games. Same as the Clippers. Both of them are top 5 in three-point shooting the last 6 games. Of course, the Clippers last game, miserable from the outside, 10 of 40. Maybe they are due. Turnovers, have they cleaned those up, Utah, recently? Not so much. They're right there with the Clippers. 17 turnovers per game last 6 games. So defensively, they're still struggling, but offensively, 8th in their last 6 ball games. Some would rather have Jordan Clarkson than John Collins. I mean, Jordan Clarkson helps you offensively. Defensively, he's going to hurt you, but can they surround him with enough guys that it doesn't really matter if he's coming off the bench, second unit guy? Jeremy Mormon says, start of a win streak, I can feel it. Things are going to change. I can feel it. Kaylee said, Clips love to play down to their opponent. We can't afford that, even against the worst team in the West. Yeah, quote-unquote worst team. I agree with you. I don't think they're nearly as bad as their record would indicate. At all. This team scares me. Larry Markkanen has not played his best basketball so far this season. He's capable of much more. He figures it out, you could be in deep trouble quickly. I want to see what their points in the paint is on the season, because the Clippers, they were doing much better until they took on the Houston Rockets in that area. They've dropped to 13th now in points in the paint at 48.5 per game. The Utah Jazz are 25th at 42 points in the paint per game. But guess what? The last 3 games, they're at 49. So last 3 games, they're better than where the Clippers are on the season with points in the paint. I figured they up things, and that's one of the reasons they're playing better. So they're knocking down threes. They're also getting points in the paint recently. These are all concerning trends for a team that, as Will Updike would say, you're not playing the record. You're not playing their record. You're playing the team, and what's more indicative of who they are now is who they have been most recently. So looking at their overall record doesn't really help you evaluate who the Utah Jazz are, because they're 3-3 in their last 6 games and playing much better basketball and just beat Dallas and could have beat Sacramento last night. So if you just say, oh, they're 3-9, they're the worst team in the West. Not recently. And they have a ton of talent. They do. They're talented. Colin Sexton can go off. Larry Markkinen is only getting 17 points per game so far. He's much better than this. This is a guy that averaged, I think, 23 last season. John Collins is actually leading them in scoring at 18 points per game. Colin Sexton is at 16. Jordan Clarkson's at 15. Keontae George is at 15. You mess around, you're going to find out against the Utah Jazz tonight. Anybody that thinks this is a walkover or an easy win, they're not paying attention to who they are recently, this Utah Jazz team. And just remember, the last couple of seasons, they have gotten off to hot starts when they were healthy. This season has gone the other way. They started slow, 0-6. They're playing with much more confidence now. They believe they can win. And they just lost a close one to Sacramento last night. So Clippers have the rest advantage, but Utah is also maybe extra motivated to get one back that got away from them against the Kings. They gave up almost 50 to De'Aaron Fox. I just commented on the Brandon Boston situation and how, yeah, I compared him to Brandon Ingram a ton before. Again, I didn't hear anyone this summer bat an eye when first he went to San Antonio and was off the Clippers, and then they let him go, and now he's in New Orleans. So anybody trying to act like, oh, I told y'all, come on, be real, be honest about it. Nobody said Moussa Diabate, oh, the one that got away. I wasn't hearing any of that stuff. Now he's getting some boards in Charlotte. They're both on bad teams. The Pelicans have lost 8 of 9. Brandon Boston is getting minutes. I'm happy for him. I would not be surprised if he developed into a really good 6-man type of guy. I thought that was always a possibility. William Blass said it. There's no easy wins for us. You're right. They've already lost to Portland. They almost lost to Toronto. Utah Jazz, they're probably more talented than both of those teams because Markkanen's that good. Colin Sexton can be a flamethrower when he gets hot. John Collins is shooting league average from 3 on 3 attempts per game. Markkanen's at 45% from 3. What's crazy is Markkanen is shooting, I'm guessing, better from 3 than from 2 right now. Is that possible? That's not going to last. The only reason his scoring is down is because, let's see here. Yeah, he's shooting 40% from 2. That makes no sense. That's not sustainable. That's not going to continue. He's going to start averaging 20-plus points per game very soon, and he just had 25 last night against Sacramento. This is fluky shooting going against him to start the season, where he's shooting better from 3 at 45% than from 2 at 40%. I'm telling you, they are primed for a breakout, and they're 500 the last 6 games. Beware the Utah Jazz. I am dead serious. You overlook this team because you got the Golden State Warriors coming up tomorrow night. They will beat you. Keontae George had 19 last night against Sacramento. Colin Sexton at 18. John Collins, 16. Jordan Clarkson, 17 off the bench. They had 5 guys in double figures that can all do this. Not a lot of outlier scoring going on. So I just don't want anybody to be shocked if this is a real game tonight. G-Master said, this is our year. We will go 20-10 soon, so enjoy the ride. Sure, G-Master. Rock said, Boston did have a light cult following on socials. Light, but it kind of went away over the last year or so. Evil Bot said, Moussa was too young, but Baron Boston Jr. was a bucket, and Clips chose Bones and Brown over him. He wasn't a bucket for the Clippers. That's the problem. Do I need to bring up how poorly he shot? Outside the game against Boston, where he went off and had, I think, 18 points in the first half, here's what Brandon Boston was shooting as a Clipper last season. 40% from the floor and 27% from three. He played in 32 games, averaged 11 minutes per game. He had some opportunities. It never really materialized. Of course, on a bad team like New Orleans is currently, he's making the most of it. He's getting 12 points per game. I just don't think there should be a lot of seller's remorse about losing Brandon Boston when he didn't show enough as a Clipper. And he wasn't getting much run because they were in a win-now situation. Jeremy Mormon said, if both of them were on the team, they'd be sitting on the bench like Jordan Miller and Kobe Brown, never getting a long enough look to make the rotation. And maybe Moussa could have gotten some of those minutes that Kai Jones was getting, but nobody wanted Moussa over Kai Jones. There's not one person in here and one person in Clipper Nation that was like, no, we don't want Kai Jones. Hold on to Moussa instead. Everybody was all excited about Kai Jones. People wanted him for 2 years. And he hasn't played great. I don't think he's played horribly. Poetic Tube said Jazz is also a young team. As mentioned before, Clippers simply don't do well against youth and athleticism. A lot of teams struggle against that. Rock said Boston likely never was going to get the chance everyone thinks here. Clippers are notorious for overloading on guards all the way from Lob City to now. Ernie Shart said, gotta fight youth with youth. HLN Live Music said Clips need play in and out game, not an out and in game. Post up zoo. I mean, I pretty much agree with that. Illmatic Adam said, how you feeling about this John Collins trade now? What John Collins trade? What John Collins trade? Howard said, since Zubac and Mann just got their money, what about we ask more out of them? I would love Zubac to get way more touches and Mann to be aggressive on offense. I don't think anyone's disagreeing with you, Howard. I just went on a rant yesterday about Ivica Zubac. Maybe I'll play it in here because I don't feel any different waking up this morning. This is part of maybe a 15 to 20 minute long rant yesterday about Big Zoo. And on the offensive end, why do you think they started off so hot this season with points in the paint? Big Zoo. That is a part of their game. He's too pivotal to what the Clippers do. When they win, he has his fingerprints all over it. So even if he gets off to a slow start, you got to keep going to him and hoping that eventually he figures it out because there's no other way to do it. That's it. I mean, look at this. In wins, 24-15, 23-18, 17-13, 15-9, 13-15, 14-12. He's punishing teams. He is a big part of their style of play, their identity, their DNA. I'm telling you, it's not going to work if Ivica Zubac isn't getting the basketball. I don't care if he misses a couple of chippies early. You continue to go through him. It's the same. I was talking about this with Dime earlier with James Harden. If James Harden misses some shots early or Norman Powell misses some shots early, do you just give up on him for the night? Do you give up on those players? No. Because if you're going to win the game, they're going to have to figure it out. It's not an option to go away from them. That's the same bleeping thing with Ivica Zubac. It's the same. I don't know how to put it more plainly. He is one of the top 3 most important players on this team. Basically, I'm saying when it comes to Ivica Zubac, you have to go to him. He is a key cog, a key point, a key component to the offense now. You have to get him involved early and often. I don't care if he struggles early. I don't care if he's missing some gimmies. Somebody show me all the games that they're winning so far this season when Big Zoo isn't getting involved. It's not happening. The games they're winning are the ones he's getting involved in. He's too important to this team. So I agree with this comment here from Howard Marr completely. Rock said, Boston, I understand not getting minutes, but Moussa was battling against Mason, Magic Johnson, Plumlee, and losing that battle. And actually, he wasn't last season because, Rock, what you're forgetting is, and this could be a timeout for misinformation, when Mason Plumlee went down, Moussa got an opportunity, and he didn't play well. Dom said, I mean, didn't Bones get more minutes over Baron Boston Jr.? Yeah, because he's likely better and played better. Howard Marr said, yo, man, not your job to create buckets, but it will surely help to get wins if you get aggressive offensively. Talking about Terrence Mann. Illmatic Adams said, Man, Tucker, and a throw in for Collins. Would you be interested? I'm interested in this as a timeout. They're not doing it. They're not trading John Collins for that. I don't know why everybody thinks that other teams are just going to help out the Clippers and just hand over guys for Mann and Tucker. So if you're going to bring up John Collins trades, I'm going to need something realistic that Utah would actually do. Because right now, without Walker Kessler, he's been very important for them. We'll see. Let me see if I can find an update on Walker Kessler for tonight. Because he's a problem, of course. He didn't play against Sacramento. What about tonight? It's a hip injury that he's got going on. I'm not seeing any intel or any updates on him. Just count him as questionable. He's good. Rock said, why I argued yesterday, I don't take much from showing from previous seasons or playoffs. The culture of a team going to carry that over, or will you revert to habits? Lack of Zoo shots is bad habits. I agree with that. Howard said, won't care if Zubac gets blocked all the time, but he needs experience down on the block to be more confident. I think it's more of him asserting himself down there. So I found this yesterday. I was looking up some numbers, as I'm prone to do, and I noticed that pick and roll frequency with James Harden as the ball handler is down this season. Last season, it was at 33.5%. This season, it's at 29.7%. And Zoo as the roller in a pick and roll, the frequency of that is down from 25% last season to 17% this season. If anything, I was hoping both those things would go up. I think part of it, and other people have brought this up, is because they're trapping and blitzing James Harden a lot. And so it's completely disrupting them getting into their offense and getting into the high pick and roll. You just double James Harden, blitz him, get the ball out of his hands, And now the Clippers have a 4-on-3 on the backside, but they're not always executing that well enough. For people who think James Harden sucks and is terrible, it's like, well, it's weird because every team tries to stop him first and foremost against the Clippers. It's almost like they know something you apparently don't, that he is the most important player to their offense. Moussa was hurt a lot last year, but he also, look, they were trying to win a championship. Having Moussa Diabate as your backup center over Mason Plumlee did not make sense. Rock, I'm sorry. Mason Plumlee, he was having, when they brought him in from Charlotte, he was literally having his best season as a pro. It made a ton of sense to bring in Mason Plumlee. And I thought he was solid his first season. Evil Bot was trying to help me out. We're almost at 3K subs here. Let's get it before the game starts tonight. I agree. Zubac is the most important player, says HLN Live Music. I mean, he's very important. Maybe he is. You can make the argument it's Harden, whatever. It's Zubac with his defense. You can make the argument he is the most important player. Plain Man number 2 said, after Jordan Miller's performance against the Rockets, how do you feel about him coming in second string this game? How about a little experiment? We start him in place of Man and done maybe. He's going to go from only playing fourth quarter minutes to starting. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he could get in before the fourth quarter. I think he could get in the first half. I think that's a real possibility tonight. G-Master said we're going 20-10 in the next 30 games. Says it's easy. Get him the effing ball. He showed with his national team. He can be a 20-point, 10-rebound guy. That's a fact. You know, national team is different than the NBA, but yes. I definitely think he can be a 17, 18, and 11 guy. David Stegner said, I know Harden is our offensive engine, but I'm happy he is only on a 2-year contract after seeing his inefficiency this year. I know he has to do too much, but I'm still a little bit disappointed. Okay, let me explain something again for like the 50th time in here. I want you guys to check out my live video. It's called James Harden Mystery Shooting. If you take away his 6.5 minutes in second quarters, his efficiency is career average. If you just take away him in second quarters, he's shooting 45% from the field and 35% from three. League average, or excuse me, career average stuff from James Harden. It is fluky, crazy shooting where he's 8 of 46 in second quarters. It is tanking his shooting percentages. Rock. No, I'm sorry. He was coming off his best season. He was literally playing his best basketball when they picked him up at the trade deadline for Charlotte. This is revisionist history. When they got Mason Plumlee, everybody was super excited. And he was solid at first. And then he had the injury against New York in his first full season, and he didn't look the same. Mason Plumlee was a great pickup. Everybody thought so at the trade deadline. Even you, Rock. Yes, you did. I agree with this from J-Dog. Derrick Jones Jr. is due after, 0 for 7 game against Houston. Mark Jag said, I think the Warriors are coming for blood tomorrow. I'm not even worrying about them yet. My guy BJ from the Pull Up Podcast says, salute, Adam. Salute. In here, that swimwear. Kevin Richards said maybe Ty needs to stop playing him so much in the first quarter. Maybe. I don't know. BJ, I don't know if there are any should-be victories for this Clippers team. As I just pointed out, Utah is playing much better the last 6 games. They are 3-3, and it is fluky shooting that has held back Markkanen so far, where he's shooting worse from 2 than from 3. That is about to change. It did last night against Sacramento. They probably should have won that game. They were leading heading into the fourth quarter. De'Aaron Fox goes off, has 49. Utah is not as bad as their record. Not at all. I'm telling you. Mason Plumlee's problems, everybody focusing on every once in a while. Every once in a while, he likes to bring the ball up and acting like that's his issue. No, his issue is rim protection. Because once every couple of games, he tries to bring the ball up and might have a turnover. That's not the problem with Mason Plumlee. Again, that was a great pickup. Everybody said so. He was having his best season in Charlotte when they got him at the trade deadline. So I don't want to hear this stuff that, oh, Moussa Diabate should have been playing when Moussa had shown really nothing. Holo Dolo said, Zoo has struggled offensively last few games. Norm as well. Fully expect them to bounce back. 2 out of our big 3 have to play well for us to win games. That's been the formula so far. Yeah, and against good teams, I'm guessing Markkanen's playing. He played last night against Sacramento. He just had 25. Why would he not be playing? I know he's missed a couple of games so far this season, but he just played last night. Is he not playing on back-to-backs? That would be big for the Clippers. So he had a nose injury a couple of days ago. He got hit in the snoz. That was against the Dallas Mavericks when they got that 115-113 win, when there was the brain fart by Luka Doncic defensively at the end of the game. I don't know. I'm expecting Markkanen to play. Obviously, if he doesn't, that increases the Clippers' chances of winning. I do think we see more from Jordan Miller today. I think either today or tomorrow we see Jordan Miller get in before fourth quarter. That's my prediction. Illmatic Adams said, I just think a trade needs to happen if we want to even stay in the plan. Cool. What's the trade? Give me a realistic trade. I'll grade it for you. I'll let you know if it's actually going to happen. BJ from the pull-up pod saying, okay, I wasn't sure if he was playing back-to-backs, but if he's playing, yeah, that changes everything. I'm just going to assume he is until we know otherwise. We don't have an update on Walker Kessler yet either, which would be big. He's tough. I just don't buy this Utah team's record right now at all. They're much more talented than this. Now, I hope the Clippers make them look like a 3-9 team tonight, but I've never prescribed to you are what your record says you are, because if a team starts off the season 0-6 and then they go 3-3 over their next 6 games, I think what's more representative of who they are today is them over the last 6 games versus the first 6 games. Teams can grow during a season, meaning their record early on can almost become irrelevant. One good thing is that Utah is 30th in fast break points. They've been a little better over the last 3 games there, but nothing crazy. They are a solid rebounding team and a pretty good offensive rebounding team. So they're 7th in offensive rebounding percentage. That is troublesome. But they are pretty low when it comes to second chance scoring points. We'll see if it holds up. Mark Jag said, got to work Bamba in today. I'm assuming he'll get some minutes. John McClain said, I better not hear anyone say trade man and a 2025 pick. Yippee-ki-yay, by the way, Adam. We already got that. No Laughing Matter said, Scout Africa, like in the movie Airplane. Howard Morris said, Jazz has good interior defense, so Zubac might continue to struggle. James must have a low turnover, high assists game for the Clips to win. Yeah, honestly, even though James Harden shot 50% last game, I thought it was one of his worst games because he had, 2 assists to 5 turnovers against Houston? He has to be better. Yeah, the Dallas one gave 'em momentum. They should have beat Sacramento last night. The Jazz have players. They got the same roster that has gotten them off to hot starts the last couple of seasons that has just started slow, and Markkanen is shooting 40% from 2 and 45% from 3. That's not going to last. His 2-point percentage is going to go way up. Mark Jag said, it seems like everyone plays super hard trying to guard Harden like he's the 2018 Harden. It's because they know if they stop Harden, they slow down the Clippers offense completely. That's why over the last 3 games, guys, we have seen more blitzes, more traps, more double teams, more fires just to get the ball out of his hands and make somebody else beat you. And it works. G-Master said we should move the ball more, get the best shot. Yeah, great. That all sounds awesome in theory. They don't have a ton of great passers. They don't. I'm sorry. I like Chris Dunn in the starting lineup. I think that's a great move. I think that's going to pay dividends because he can bring the ball up. He can play make. Less for Harden to have to do. In theory, he shouldn't be as worn out. It's the smart move to make. I thought it was coming. It happened. Trying to think. Opponent. I want to see opponent 3-point shooting for the Utah Jazz. What are they doing on the perimeter? Because last 6 games, remember, they're shooting 40% from 3, the Jazz. So they're coming in hot from 3. But what are opponents shooting against them from distance? They're shooting a high percentage, 37.4%. On the season, though, it's probably down a little bit over the last few games. Teams against the Clippers, they're shooting 36% from 3 after a couple of hot shooting games for Houston. That was not a good 3-point shooting team until, of course, the law of averages happened against the Clippers. Clippers, meanwhile, they are at 38% from 3. Utah in the season, 33%. That's not indicative of who they've been recently. Last 6 games, they are shooting 40% from 3. So they must have been miserable the first 6 games of the season with their 3-point shooting to still be at 33% for the season, even though the last 6 games they're at 40% from 3. So some of it is just that simple. It's just hot shooting, cold shooting, make or miss league. And there's not a lot you can do about that stuff. Ilmatic Adams said, I would like to see a Terrence Mann, Tucker, Bones for a Patrick Williams or an Obi Topping. They're not doing that. Thanks for the realistic trade ideas, guys. King Hudson said, they destroyed that Clippers logo. It's not right. I love the new logo. Plain Man said, facts. Look at the Lakers. Had a terrible start and came back around and won the play-in tournament last season. Teams definitely develop beyond their record. Clips will do the same. I like it. Poetic Tube said, agree with Adam. This is the year where we can't underestimate any opponent. Can't just look at their record. You're not playing their record, as Will Updike would say. Mark Jag said, Jordan Clarkson can kill you if you aren't careful. Yep. You're talking about the Clippers shooting 38% from 3 on how many? They're taking 33.5 threes per game, which is just about bottom 5 in attempts. But some of that is because they've been good in points in the paint. So you're going to take less threes if you're getting points in the paint. Oh, God. Here's a timeout. Somebody just comes in and right away says, trade Kawhi immediately. He's not reliable. Well, do you think other teams around the league don't know that? Kevin Richards said, how about testing a second unit comprised of Bones, KPJ, Coffee, Terrence, and Mo Bamba? I don't hate it, but where's Batum? Where's Jordan Miller? That's who I want to see. Rock said the Bulls could want to get off of the Patrick Williams contract. All right, let's see what he's making. If they want to get off of it, are you sure you want to get onto it? He's making $18 million per year the next 4 seasons, and then as a player option for $18 million in the summer of 2028. That's a lot of money to commit. I wouldn't do it. For what reason, guys? What's your goal here? You want to upgrade the team to make them slightly better right now when you can make them drastically better in a couple of seasons if you actually have money to spend? That's what I don't get. It's too much myopic thinking, prisoner of the moment stuff. Mark Jagg said the guy who said trade Kawhi immediately must be new here. Yeah, I gave him the timeout. There's his introduction. Howard Mars said everyone needs to be assertive and help James Harden to produce points. Would help the team a lot if Harden's not too tired entering the fourth quarter. Sure, I agree. Not a bad thought. I just don't want people to fall into the trap of thinking that Utah is 3-9 and that means they suck and the Clippers should win tonight easily or something. They are not that bad. Rock said it's not pretty, but the Clippers could try it if they believe it's an upside gamble. Again, to get what? A couple more victories, maybe? Wouldn't you rather swing for the fences for real superstars when that time comes? Like, these short-term fixes are going to hurt your long-term gains. You have to have a big picture perspective here. Signing a guy who's making $18 million every year the next 4 and 5 if he opts into the player option, that is a big chunk of money. John McClain points out that he's injury prone like Jonathan Isaac. Yep. That's a good point. Stay patient. Stay the course. Why are we talking about upgrading anything until we see where Kawhi's health is at? Get Kawhi healthy first, then make moves. If he has a sustained run of good health and you feel like we can take another shot at this and we're good enough or a piece away from being a contender, then you make a move. Before that, it is the only move I would make right now is to consolidate so you could get Jordan Miller more minutes. That's the only move I would consider. Terrence Mann is not making more than $18 million. That is a timeout. We try to be factual here. If you're not, these are the consequences. There has to be some. Sometimes I'm wrong and I time out myself for 10 seconds. Goes both ways. No Laughing Matter said, you see how good Dyson Daniels is playing? Great barrier thief. That's a great nickname. Yeah, I have seen some of his games with Atlanta. I know he's put up some big numbers recently. He had a 25-point game, a 28-point game. Good for them. Good for the Hawks. I don't think they're getting him. Pull up podcast. BJ gets it. No moves till Kawhi comes. Or Kawhi comes back. Rock said, I mean, I was all for letting everyone expire and pull a Miami Heat type clean the cap sheet this past offseason, so I'm all for cap flexibility. Then why are you talking about Pat Williams? Mark said, Colin Sexton and Keontae George speed could be a problem for Harden and Norm if Derrick Jones Jr. is guarding Markkanen. Dunn can hold his own guarding one of them. Yeah, there are matchup problems with Markkanen and John Collins in the starting lineup. Like, everybody can shoot on Utah. John Collins isn't a high-volume guy. He attempts 3 3-pointers per game. I know everybody wants him because of the possibility of him being a stretch 4, but he doesn't take a ton of threes. Plain Man number 2 said starting the second half out playing young ball to give our older starters a breather for once could have positive. You're going to start the second half with a bunch of young guys? Building our future talent early in the season can produce. I can't even read this. God. Wait for Kawhi to make us contenders should be a timeout. I didn't say that. I said if he comes back and has a sustained run of health and you look like you can be close to a contender because Kawhi's that good, then you can start talking about making a move. It isn't far off from 18 million, but it's not 18 million. And the guy said more. He said Terrence Mann is making more than that 18 million, and he's not. So sorry. Adrian said Devin Booker to the Clips free agency hot take. Timeout. Dumb take. Why? Let's look at Devin Booker's contract. Y'all killing me with some of this stuff. He's signed for the next 4 seasons. He's not a free agent anytime soon. He makes $49 million this year, 53 after that, 57 after that, 61 million when he's 31 years of age in the 27-28 season. If you're just going to bring up just BS stuff like that, it's just a straight up timeout, Adrian. I'm sorry. You're not helping anything. He's literally not a free agent for 4 more years. This has been a struggle. I don't know if we're getting better or worse here in the chat. Nate G said, in my opinion, James Harden is the primary reason for us winning or losing. It won't matter who the Clippers trade for because Harden is not a great decision maker in many high-stakes moments. Yes, he does have a bad turnover to assist ratio, a really bad one in the fourth quarter so far. But a lot of that is because he has to do so much. He's worn out. Rock said, mention Williams because he's a 6'8", plays a position of need in the front court, and you have the man $15 million contract anyways. You can do it or don't, but unless you flip man for expiring. Okay, I get if you're trading man for another guy who makes a little bit more. So look at this guy. He comes right back, says something else ridiculous. Another timeout. I don't know what I expected. There's a lot of trolling or really bad ideas going on right now. The realist said, how can you make a trade and we haven't even seen this team with Kawhi? Thank you. The only trade I would consider is one that would consolidate to free up minutes for young guys right now. Ray said, I got sequestered by my wife for some pop-up shop in Hollywood, but wanted to say, what's up, Adam? Let's go Clips. What's up, Ray? Ray, did you say you're coming to the game tomorrow night or tonight? I love Ray. I love many of you guys. There's just obviously some ridiculousness. It's the internet. What did I expect? And I still love it. Ray said, glad to see timeouts are going strong. Punishment will continue until morale improves. There's got to be consequences. There's got to be some accountability. Rock said, but we still need to begin to plan ahead for the next phase of the organization. To me, the extent of planning ahead is just getting young guys more minutes. That's planning ahead. Because I'm here to tell you, if the Houston Rockets start pulling away in this race to see who is going to end up being the team that OKC uses the pick swap with, then at some point you probably should just start playing more young guys. If you can't stay ahead of Houston to have OKC take their pick instead of the Clippers, then at some point you should probably just be playing young guys and moving forward. Ray will be at the Warriors game with 5 other people. Right on. Hello, Dolo said, once the team loses, the trade machine gets booted up in here without fail. It's hilarious. It's true. Once they lose, the trade machine. You didn't say around the same. That's not what you said. You said right here, Terrence is making more than that. Then you corrected yourself and said, or around the same. Take the L, Illmatic, Adam. We all have to sometimes. I mute myself in here often. Jay said, going to the game tonight. Let's go Clippers. Let's go. Poetic Tube said, Ray coming in the chat like a ray of sunshine. Lee Vyman said, is Bamba playing tonight? I think he will. Okay, you did correct yourself, but before that, you said he makes more, and we can't have it. Rock said, to me, the Kawhi era is done. I'm sorry. It's just how I feel. We need to plan for what's the best outcome moving ahead long term. Well, it's hard to do that while Kawhi is still making $50 million a year, right? Ilmatic Adams said, and it's kind of silly that you're muting fans of the Clippers that watch your podcast. Because if you're promoting misinformation, if you're not contributing to realistic talk, that's my rule here. I also time out myself. It's kind of silly to criticize someone else's channel when you could just leave if you don't like it. Apparently, a lot of people do. Nate G said it's either live with it, take him off the ball more, or take him off the floor when it matters most. I don't think being tired has a lot to do with most of the turnovers, just 13 games in. He's 35. I think it does have a lot to do with it. BJ from the Pull Up Podcast said, I'm excited to see more of the young guys play tonight with the crowd at home. Absent said, this should be a development year for the younger guys like the 2022 season. Ray said, I'm an eternal ray of sunshine of the spotless mind. Look forward for some Bamba, hopefully Miller time as well. Red Dog said, well said. Rock said, that is true. Not sure what they're referring to exactly. I can't please everyone, Ilmatic Adam. What I can do is do a show the way I think it should be done. And if people like it, cool. You know, there's always going to be some people that don't. You can't please everyone, especially on the internet. Marcos said Miller needs to play tonight. Tired of Lou not developing the youth. Joe Rosenfeld said there has been a complete overreaction regarding the Brandon Boston Jr. and Moussa Diabate. The Pels are 2-8 with Brandon Boston Jr.'s stats and losing basketball for the injury-riddled teams should not be a negative indictment on the Clippers. I agree. Ilmatic Adamson, Miller and Bomba will make a great pick and roll duo. I don't think Bomba's been great in the pick and roll at all, but I would love that. Lee Ivan said, seeing Miller before the fourth quarter would be a nice welcome. That's my prediction. In one of the next two games at least, we will see Jordan Miller before the fourth quarter. It could be happening tonight, guys. I truly believe that. I wouldn't BS you. Who, me? I would never. I would never. I say what I think, believe, mean. What else do we got here? I still got to take a shower and get ready. All right. Appreciate you guys. I just don't fall into the trap of just looking at the record when it comes to teams as we outlined here. The Utah Jazz are better than the record and have been. Last 6 games, 3-3. King Hudson said Clippers should be able to beat the Jazz. If not, then y'all in trouble. Should be able to. I think it could be a close contest. We'll see. Here's what the Clippers need to do tonight. Bring the defensive intensity. Bring the mother effing ruckus on defense. And slow down and disrupt everything the Utah Jazz are doing. Get back to shrinking the floor. Playing with your arms extended, sliding your feet, staying in front of your man, taking up the challenge of playing great one-on-one defense so you don't give up advantages to the opposition. William Blast said Kobe looked good the other night. He needs some minutes. Kobe Brown. Hello Dolo said Harden is getting blitzed, doubled before he even crosses half court. I mean, are people even watching some of the stuff teams are doing? Lou Dort is like picking him up full court even if he doesn't have the ball. He's going to have turnovers when guard like that, especially at the age of 35. He didn't have these turnovers last year because he had help. Exactly. Thank you. The Fry guy said, I think we have to accept this is probably not going to be our year. If we want to think about the future, let's focus on the $33 million we open up by waiving PJ and Bones bird rights alone. $33 million. What are you talking about? Guys, PJ Tucker makes 11, Bones makes 3. $33 million? What? That's close to a timeout. Absent said Dunn is 2 for 11 from 3 as a starter. Who cares? It's a couple of games. It's 2 games. He needs to hit threes tonight or teams will continue daring him to shoot. I hope they do because I'm pretty confident he will be knocking down shots. Rock said, you probably need to leave in the next hour with how bad traffic will be in that area for both games. Old Dirty Dasher just realized we landed on the moon. Just saw the schedule. Holy F. Second night is Golden State. Yeah, just snuck up on him. All right, I'm out of here. That was a good point by Rock. I got to get going because, the Chargers are playing too at SoFi. Love you all. Be good. This has been a Utah Jazz preview of tonight's contest. We'll have your pregame show starting at 5 from Intuit Dome. We're right back here. I'm Adam Oslin. This has been another edition of Clippers Talk.